Welcome to the world of Level Up Weekly, a bounteous, open podcast filled with amazing loot, legitimately challenging enemies, but not too difficult to defeat, and of course, the EXP. Join our fellow big headphone adventurers Dylan the Dude and Spurnaday as they journey on a quest to find the EXP from gaming news and discussion. Hello everybody, welcome to Level Up Weekly, your weekly XP for gaming news, and today brings another exciting Thursday night, or now, as we announced last week here, there will be Tuesday nights, as now also potentially seeing us Saturday. Not likely, though, as many times on Saturday. You know what you're going to see on Saturday, though, is high-quality, professional gameplay from either me or Dylan. But anyway, we welcome you so much here over to our show, Level Up Weekly, where you get your EXP by talking to us, by getting your weekly news experience here, whether it be in tech, whether it be in gaming, whether it be in esports, whether it be in anything. We're glad that you're over here with us, folks.
And we really appreciate, as Jordan here has said, if you talk to your computer screen while listening to us. I don't think that's what Jordan meant, but we do appreciate you listening to us. And where are you listening to us, I might ask? Well, you could be listening to us on WRHC 106.7 FM or WRHZ 93.5 FM on the Radio Harbor Country Radio Network. Or you could be listening to us on Podbean, iTunes, or Twitch, or any of the other places that you may find us, all at Level Up Weekly or some variation. And where else can you support us, Jordan?
Everywhere. We already plugged way too many times last week, so we're gonna keep it chill until the end of this episode, because I remember looking through our episode and being like, oh wow, we said Podbean like 15 times. We're tools. We're over here. We're out here. It's a great evening for us here over at Level Up Weekly, and we hope that you guys are enjoying a great time too, because, I mean, from the day of recording this, Overwatch League is about to happen. CES is going on right now, and, you know, we're just going to ask a question tonight. And viewers, keep this in your heads. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later on in the episode, and we want you to just think about this for a second. What does video game journalism integrity mean to you? And how do you spot the people that are scamming you because they ended up getting a sponsorship and so they had to say something nice about a company? So keep that in your thoughts here. But more importantly, right now at least, first, Dylan, let's talk about what we've been playing this week, because we have had a little bit of a variation in differences recently. So I think we should take this opportunity to talk about different games that we've been playing. You can go first.
Well, we've been playing many different games. I know I have, especially. Some games we picked up lately, we played some classics, or I've been playing some classics. I've also been playing stuff like, I've been replaying Resident Evil 7, played a little bit of Cuphead, starting a new save in Persona 5, which you might see me do one of all of those Saturday on stream here at Level Up Weekly. But the two games I think I've been playing the most recently would be Killing Floor 2, which thank you to my good friends Austin and Gage for buying me. It is a fun game, just dumb fun killing zombies and having a lot of, just as a team, as a cooperative unit, which is code words for everyone else being in the same area and I run off and get kills on my own.
Or having a field medic that decides to just not assist us in any format whatsoever. That was one of my more entertaining portions when we played, because it's not often that you have the support class going solo and just be like, I mean, I could help you guys if I wanted, but it's more fun to just get more kills personally.
But you're not me, so I'm the support. I'm not here to support you. I'm here to support me.
I'm a strong, independent field medic who don't need no infantry unit.
But aside from that, the other thing I've been playing a ton of, and it's very topical of our show today, is Overwatch. I climbed 250 SR by solo queuing, and I am so close to breaking back into platinum, and just in time for the big reveal this week, the big grand reveal. And of course, we'll also get into a few of the new PTR nerfs and buffs that have been announced coming up. But Overwatch, one of the games I'm going to probably be putting a lot more time into here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to our conversation on Overwatch League and generally speaking, Overwatch. I'll be honest, I would not consider myself a grand player, but like it is with my shoutcasting style in Rocket League, I try to stay informed and keep up with metas and try to keep with proper terminology and more importantly, try to understand a little bit about the team. So to go into Overwatch, especially with a couple new features we'll talk about later, it's going to be exciting to see what's going to come out of it. Me personally, throughout the week, I will tell you that I have put in a lot of hours into Wallpaper Engine.
Oh, how could I forget? The most important one.
Guys, I just want to say this. This is the first time, and you here listening to us are witnessing this, that this is the first time that I've ever looked at a Steam bestseller, said this is stupid, then bought it for $4, and then immediately changed my mind and said, I understand why this was that price, and now I understand why this was, I think it was Silver Seller or whatever it was.
It is incredible. It is definitely worth. As a matter of fact, just today, I opened up my laptop before one of my classes. Of course, Jordan and I, we are both back at our respective colleges. Jordan at Davenport University and myself at Ball State University down in Muncie, Indiana. And I opened up my computer to get ready to take some notes, and the person sitting next to me was like, "Whoa, dude, how is your wallpaper moving like that?" And it was like, that reaction alone was worth the $4. It was just so awesome.
I think that's exactly why I got it too. I showed one of my roommates earlier, one of the ones that responds to audio, and we were just like, fangasming about how cool that whole thing was. So I think it was really fun to just see not only people's reactions, but more or less just to see what other creators and makers have made. And I'm just impressed. It's a solid engine and it doesn't bog your games down. I haven't had that yet. By the way, Wallpaper Engine, if you're watching this episode, you owe us money for this much endorsement. Like, we literally became reformed because of your game. I'm gonna tweet at you sometime later this week if you don't see it before this episode. Because gosh, I don't know what it is, but you guys are too good. But
it's really incredible.
I can talk about the other games that I played. That's not even a game. That's just software. What am I doing? I recently, over the holiday weekend, or holiday week, I guess I could say, I recently got RPG Maker. Fun fact, I'm actually in the process of just making a game for fun through RPG Maker. For anybody that's wanting to get into game development, I will say that if you get RPG Maker, it's a very simple and effective tool for you to understand core concepts of how to construct a game. And in terms of its software, it's very simple to use. You could make one Google search and understand everything you need to know in 5 minutes. So if you guys are looking to be game developers and you really just don't know much about the back end to it, just get RPG Maker when it's on a really good sale like I did. I think I got mine for like $30 or something like that. And that was the whole kit. That was like $180 originally. So yeah, check it out, guys. It was definitely worth the money to me.
That is pretty cool. I completely forgot you picked that up. We'll have to definitely play something that you've made. And that was on sale, $30. It usually runs like the basic unit usually runs like 80 or something, or 60.
It's a pretty hefty price tag. I got it on a really good deal. It was like 70 or 80% off. And well, understanding that this software has been out for some time, so I see why they made the price that they did. But it like I said before, I think it's really good for those that are just wanting to get into the game development world. Like, I'm here. I've never had any form of gaming coding experience. Game coding, I guess I should clarify. And for me to just step in and be like, okay, let me craft this character through the graphics art packages that they've given me. And then I make this environment, this world, this overlay. This character's going to say this. This sound effect happens when I smack someone. When someone says, "Do you know the way?" Then I go, "I do know the way." And then I have them follow this character. Little things like that. If you didn't catch that joke, it's just a meme that's been going around lately. And my profile picture on Discord every time that I see it, Dylan. It's just I continue to laugh at it every single time.
Yeah, when I saw you send me that, I was very. I knew that the meme had spread to its fullest, its peak meme, if you will.
It's one of those things where you find a picture, you find it really funny, and so you go through this like phase of just like, okay, I'm gonna just keep it on as a profile picture, store it in your images or your meme pictures or in that secret folder that you keep that says totally not inappropriate stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, anyway, but the other games that I've played, obviously is Rocket League, as I usually do. Just the usual grinding, other spiel. This last Saturday when I streamed for Level Up Weekly, I played more Overwatch. I got on my typical rant about how I hate the ranking system at low levels because I can never get out of low levels because I'm not strong enough to carry, and everyone else thinks that they are the carry. So,
but more on that later.
Life.
It's a little bit easier at higher levels, but more on that later.
I've also played Killing Floor 2, like we've said before. Ever since, I will say this too, ever since the 1.8 patch of The Division, I have significantly thrown in a lot more hours to The Division, and I'm very happy to be able to be back in that game. You know me, Dylan. I've been a big fan of the game since it was released. Of course, stipulations and just really entering into scenarios that just kind of sucked in general. Like, for example, I go into a server and I'm like level 3 in the dark zone and another dude's like level 99 and he's like, haha, you're dead. Like, that stuff doesn't happen anymore. And with all the different stuff that the season pass allowed me to do, for once the season pass felt nice. For all the stuff that it allowed me to do, I think I've just thoroughly enjoyed being back in the game, looking and hunting for exotic weapons. I'm looking forward to the rumored new global event that's about to happen. So, yeah, I'm safe to say I found my MMO that I'm going to stick with for a while.
Well, and also The Division, in conjunction with our favorite new software, Wallpaper Engine, has some really cool backgrounds, like some really cool wallpapers. I really love the aesthetic of The Division. It's just got a really cool background, a really cool story, and it makes probably one of the best ever Tom Clancy games, just aesthetically, in terms of the visuals. I just love it.
Yeah, I might say that I might be coming at this at a biased opinion. I'll offer that disclaimer because, I've personally enjoyed the game, but I do see where its issues are lying therein. But I mean, I have fun. I can go out into a group and have fun. I can kind of do what I'd like to do. I mean, each day I'll log on, when I have the time between classes. I'll log on for a while. I'll have a little bit of fun, and it's always a pleasure to me personally to play it, and I've always thoroughly enjoyed that myself, to put myself in the area. And one thing I'll recommend to you guys who are artist freaks, I personally love the concept art that The Division puts together. So guys, if you're ever curious, just Google search Division concept art or just Division art, and you might see some absolutely Tom Clancy's a Division art. You don't want to literally look up Division art because I feel like you probably just like find someone that has like a divided by sign in the middle. And it's like, that's art. That's what I'm thinking, at least.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah. Sorry, just got a little distracted by some more Wallpaper Engine shenanigans.
Yeah, you should shut that. We're in the middle of a recording, Dylan. This is important, professional recording environment right here. As in, we're both in our dorm rooms. Oh, yeah, I probably shouldn't have sent you what I sent you beforehand. I found the echidna who sings Ocean Man, and I think that's the reason that Dylan is no longer focusing as easy as he used to.
It has ruined me. But after, of course, now that we've gone over what we've played, we can now get into things that will focus my attention, that will create a laser focus for the rest of the show.
I'll help you guys. Hey, Dylan.
Yes.
Overwatch. Okay, cool. Now you're focused.
Yeah, let's do it.
The first thing that we're going to cover today is talking about the Overwatch League. To give you guys a disclaimer, we are recording this before the first official aired match of Overwatch League, which is January 10th, 7 p.m. is the starting time, Eastern Standard, to also say that too. So we won't have the official scores, but we'd like to just offer our input, give you guys a background to it, maybe give you guys a taste of who you want to root for, stuff like that. We just kind of want to give you the general gist of what to expect coming up here in Overwatch League. The first thing, this just came up recently as of this week, is that Twitch officially signed to be the exclusive streaming partner of the Overwatch League, which, Dylan, you pointed earlier that also is going to potentially redeem skins and other loot items for just simply watching the stream, which is a fun little feature.
It really gives a huge incentive for people to watch the Overwatch League on Twitch, because now, you get bonuses in game for watching the Overwatch League, but you also get this nice streamlined system. Like, you don't have to follow 5 or 6 or 7 different Twitch channels, or maybe follow a Mixer stream, but if anyone were to play it on Mixer. No, it's all on Twitch, all in the same channel, all in the same the 2 divisions, and it's just so easy to follow. It's probably I'm very excited for how this is going to go, simply based on how easy it'll be to follow alone.
And that was the thing that I'm very glad that they chose with. I think it was expected that Overwatch was going to eventually make this decision. There's a big rumor that Blizzard/Activision was pushing for their own streaming broadcasts and have their own platform to work off of. And I think that they realized, and probably money talks with when it came to Twitch, that it helped them out to make the decision and go, yeah, we're for sure going to give you guys the option, because we feel as though that's going to give us the best viewership, give us the best partnership, and quite frankly, they don't have to worry too much on their infrastructure, and this is now going to go over to Twitch, and Twitch can do their thing that they've been doing for forever.
Well, they experimented a little bit during the preseason. During the preseason, all of the preseason games were streamed either through Blizzard's own website or through their subsidiary MLG broadcast. Like, how MLG has its own broadcasting service, that's where it was put through. I think they realized that with how much they were promoting it and how important this would be to them, that it might just be better to take the safe route and establish a good partnership with a dedicated streaming service, which in this case, Twitch fits the bill just right.
It's a 2-year deal, so right off the bat, you're gonna have that back end, and this is the thing that I love about Overwatch League so far, and not pulling aside from just the games that we're about to watch. If you look at everything that's happened before and leading up to Overwatch League, it's just a solid piece behind it. I mean, think about this. Overwatch League, we talked about this before in a few episodes ago. This is going to be the first time that we see players get a consistent salary out of it. Players are going to earn $50,000 per year, and includes benefits and housing and other little spiel behind that. They're set. I'll put it like this. They're basically set as a legitimate job, making $50K a year. So win or lose, they still have their job title per se.
This is very comparable to minor leagues sports, and even breaking into major league sports. I know major league tennis players, unless you're like or golfers, unless you're like a big champion that wins, every Open. This is about what they make. So it's really comparable. And it's like we said in our esports episode, professional gaming, esports, is moving to the point where it's catching up to regular athletic sports. And this is definitely a great sign of that.
One of the tips to that, just to touch on that, is that they really don't hit a lot of sponsorships individually to the players, though. That $50K is off of, a company that came in and said, we'll pay for it. And that payment was, I don't remember the exact number, but it was an absurd millions. But they did that so that they knew a company had big cahoots to be able to stay in this league and to continue to have longevity. I mean, again, just to kind of put perspective, there's a 2-year contract with Twitch that says, hey, we'll be your exclusive provider. And I'm sure as that goes in behind that, you'll see, lost track of my thought there, sorry, that you'll see that Overwatch will be able to continue, more than just this one season. Throwing in 12 teams, 10 of them from, 10 of that, or is that, 10 of them.
9.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. 9 of them are from the United States. I forgot. We have one in London, and then one in Seoul, and another in Shanghai. So we have anybody from China to Korea. We have London in the mix here, and then of course we're anywhere from east to west coast in the United States, anywhere from as big as Boston and Dallas to LA for some reason having two teams, and New York, Philadelphia, just a good slew of different teams, different areas. And one of the weird things that someone brought to my attention, and I'd like to just get your thoughts on this, Dylan, and I'll piece mine in a second, is like, okay, so we have for sure, one Korean team. We of course have Shanghai in the mix, so China, and we have two Asian teams in the mix. And it has been statistically shown that a lot of teams either from Korea have dominated a lot of Blizzard's back-end esports, and we've also seen China compete very heavily too. So that brings up the question, is this just going to be one of those things where we might just see a Seoul party and just see Korea dominate, or because of the major United States teams that we have, could we see a higher potential of the United States pulling this off?
Well, here's one of the funny things is that there are a few Korean players that actually were getting such great offers for the Overwatch League that a few of them have relocated to places in the United States to play for United States teams. It's not rampant like oh, they're bringing in 20 Korean players to play for all the American teams, but some star players from South Korea have joined the rosters, such as I know the Florida Mayhem has a very top tier Tracer player from Korea on their team now. The Los Angeles, I think Valiant also has a top tier Ana and Zen main now on their team that has relocated to the city of Los Angeles to join this team. So I don't think it's going to be a massive, steamrolling of the Seoul Dynasty. But I do think it's going to be a very unique mix of talent and players across all these teams. And I'll actually mention this more later, that some of the owners of these teams, some of the financial backers and owners of these teams, are names we are familiar with, both from an esport perspective and also from a mainstream media perspective. I do believe that we are going to see a ton of new, underrated American players really showing their strengths on some of these teams, most notably for me, the Florida Mayhem and the Dallas Fuel.
I was just going to point on this, that one of my favorites, and I don't know if they're going to be favorite to win per se, but one of my personal favorites is Dallas Fuel. And the main reason I'm a fan of Dallas Fuel is because I've been a fan of Siegel for a while. XQC has shown his great strengths behind it, but man, that dude can be, I'll use the term passionate, as I know what Tim the Tapman said once upon a time, so I'll use that term. But I'm a big fan of Siegel. That man can play like just out of his mind if he puts himself to it. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen for Dallas. I think that's going to be my personal team that I'm going to root for, but I'm not going to bash any other teams. Like you said, a lot of these guys are almost brand new to this scenario. They may not have played in the World Cup. They might have participated in a few other particular events, but when it comes to some of these teams, you look at their lineup and you go, man, that's a stacked lineup. But you look at the other side, and we've seen this in Overwatch plenty of times. Anything can happen. If you get a DPS that's playing out of his mind, you're going to be in an advantage. And if you have a tank that's like, I refuse to die, you're probably going to be an advantage. And if you have a support that's like, I just don't want you to die, then you'll have an advantage. So this is going to be cool to see what's going to come out of it. And with the new features coming to spectator mode and a few other secret things that they're going to be putting out here in the future, it slews together a lot of, I'll use the term again, potential for what's going to come out of it for sure.
And there's some really high hopes going into a lot of these teams. Like I said earlier, we recognize a lot of the owners and sponsors of these teams, but there's actually some of these teams are owned by pretty big groups and pretty recognizable groups. The Boston Uprising is actually owned by the Kraft Group, aka the owners of the New England Patriots. Yes, the owner of the New England Patriots have an Overwatch League team. That's incredible for a corporation as big as the Kraft Group, or another great example, the Los Angeles Gladiators are partially owned by Arsenal FC, the owner of the Los Angeles Rams, the Denver Nuggets, and the Colorado Avalanche. So again, another big, big company owning this team, and as well, the Philadelphia Fusion is also owned by the same people who own the Philadelphia Flyers, a very well-regarded hockey team in American sports. So for people like these to put so much stock into the Overwatch League and into these teams is just incredible to me. It really does put it on the level of other, big spectacle events or athletics.
I'd like to just say this basically, this Overwatch League, and I keep saying this, that there's a lot of pressure for this to go right. And I say this because, like Dylan said, look at everything that's been put together so far for this piece. Look at all the organizations / companies and corporations that are putting their money into the ring and saying, we want to be part of this esports trend. And we want that to not be a trend, but we want that to be an established pattern in the future. We want to see other sports do this. If this goes well, this opens doors for CSGO. This opens doors for Rocket League. This opens doors for League of Legends. This opens doors for insert the new upcoming esports title here. And all this is doing is just allowing that opportunity for esports to become more of a great thing. And that's why I absolutely love this is a locality thing now. If you're a Boston native, you're going to be going for your Boston team. If you're a Dallas native, you're going to go for your Dallas boys. For some reason, if you live in the general state of Florida, you're going to go for Florida Mayhem. And it's a cool thing to have teams that are represented by the area and not just like, oh yeah, here's this company, Cloud9. Let's root for Cloud9 and anything that Cloud9 does. Now this is something where people have a place that they're from and a little bit of history to that place so that they can root for that area. And so this just offers a way for me personally to say this is going to be really exciting to see what's going to come out of it.
And, I'm very happy that they're not completely taking the emphasis off of teams like Cloud9, Misfits, Optic Gaming, Team Envy, NRG Esports, because they are actually, some of their players are actually relocating to certain areas for these next few years so that they can play for these particular teams. One reason why I'm so pro Florida Mayhem at the moment is because some of my favorite pro players from the Misfits have actually relocated to play for the Florida Mayhem. If you have to, in my personal opinion, if there's any two people that you should keep an eye on, through the two individual players to keep an eye on this entire time, it's Tavik and Logix, both from Florida Mayhem, who are both key members of the Misfits. Amazing DPS player. Tavik is one of the greatest tracer mains in the world, and Logic does some amazing things with Genji, Soldier, and many other
that
DPS.
Man's a DPS main, and he will go crazy if you give him Soldier, but I will tell you this right now, if he had to fill, he'll fill. It'd be like, it's like this. He's like, his team's got an 80% chance of winning if he fills, but he has an almost 100% chance of winning if he goes with Soldier, or I think you said Genji.
Yes, those are his two mains, and he does a great job on those.
It's like me with D.Va. I'm always crazy with D.Va. I'm just kidding. I'm in silver. Who cares?
But, of course, we do, Cloud9, a few of their players relocated to London, actually, to play for the London Spitfire. London Spitfire has probably more imported or brought in players. I noticed they definitely have quite a few Korean players on their team from South Korea, as well as people brought in from Cloud9. So Gesture and Fisher are going to be pretty solid tank mains for them. They have Fury, who can flex into almost anything. Closer, who is I'd say probably one of the top supports in the world. I would definitely give him a big nod for being probably a key part of, if the London Spitfire does well, he'll be probably the main reason. But if you support any of these teams, you can also show your support to them by using the same skins, using the same custom Overwatch League skins that they get to use in your own personal game. And you can actually earn credits to purchase some of these skins by watching your favorite teams compete more. And I think that'll be so. Jordan, if you want to, show your support for Fury or Closer, just buy some London Spitfire skins for Diva and your other mains, and boom, you can show your support and, show it more the more you watch them.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to probably start with getting my Dallas Fuel, to be honest with you. I think that's what I'm going to go with because, like I said before, I've always been a good fan of seeing Siegel's potential. Great personality, great guy, genuinely nice to talk to. So I look forward to just seeing what his team can hold together. So I'll probably throw in some support for them. Spitfire has a lot of potential, like you said, though. But I got my pick. But to be honest, the person that's going to probably win it all is not likely going to be them. But I'm not going to discount their roster until I actually see what happens. I will say that I'm not the guy that has thoroughly watched a lot of Overwatch esports up until this point. So this Overwatch League is going to be like my pinnacle turnaround where I'm going to be watching a lot more and understanding this game a lot more as the time comes along. And one of the things I read in an analysis paper today was someone from Red Bull was writing about how, it's going to be very important for them to say, maybe we want to change metas coming up here during this Overwatch League. Don't be surprised if, our heavy tank or dive comps get totally just thrown out the window and something completely out of the ordinary becomes a new thing. If people aren't afraid to try new things in this league, then there is a giant potential that we're going to see some major meta changes here in the coming few weeks.
And that's one thing I really have to give to the Dallas Fuel is that Dallas Fuel is, along with Florida Mayhem, and it's probably the reason why I like both teams so much, is that they have been known to just throw strategies, throw different team comps at the wall, see what sticks, and then just innovate in the game of Overwatch. And some teams get pretty complacent. I know for as good as the Seoul Dynasty is, a lot of their players kind of stick into their roles, kind of stick to their thing. And it almost bit South Korea in the butt during the World Cup because they did not have a solid Mercy player. And yet they were had to have someone play Mercy to counter a strategy that Team USA was playing. And that's why Team USA took a game off of South Korea, which was a huge thing in the World Cup. Dallas Fuel and Florida Mayhem are so innovative, so creative, that they will definitely pose a huge threat here in the upcoming Overwatch League.
Yeah, just know that there's going to be a lot of chanting of USA, USA, mainly because it's dominated mostly in the United States. And I've just learned that we're just very passionate fans. Like, you go to Europe and it's like, they'll get pretty hype. But when you go to the United States, your venues are always a lot more energetic than they are. And I just seen this firsthand in Rocket League's championship series. This was a big thing that they had. The other particular one is, I guess, just Overwatch and Counter-Strike. I've also watched their productions too. You can go to Europe and they're hype, but like you go to the United States and we're American. Like yelling at things going across the field, or in this case, killing a bunch of stuff, is like our passion. So going forward, I think it's going to be really cool to see. And, if this is successful, we're going to see this in taverns and pubs and bars, just like any other sport. It's going to go around. It's hopefully going to be a moderately normal talk around the area. And just, I look forward to it, man. I genuinely do. I wish for the best for them. I hope that they're able to perform up to their tasks on the production value. Hope they don't get bamboozled. And I just hope that it's not like Tyler One's incident recently on Twitch, where he ended up getting like 150K for his return stream, and his Twitch was just the most horrendous thing to go to because you couldn't chat because the chat was just basically broken, and his video was just constantly lagging because Twitch is like, yo, bro, we didn't expect you to get 150K.
I mean, I'm hoping the production values will really set the Overwatch League apart and set a great precedence for what esports and Major League Gaming can be. And of course, this Saturday we will have a awesome game stream with your very own Dylan the Dude. I'll kind of give some of my opinions then, and we'll definitely talk more about the Overwatch League in the weeks to come. But as of now, we have not seen any results. We don't know we have not. We're recording this a little bit early, so we will let you know what we think about these matchups and give you more of your Overwatch League coverage in the coming weeks.
guys, tweet at us at Level Up Weekly. Give us your input and thoughts on this Overwatch League and what you guys think is going to be coming up here. We would love to hear some of your feedback. We'd love to hear from you beautiful people over here listening to us on either the radio, on Twitch, or even on Podbean. We hope to be able to see you guys on those platforms for sure. But the next thing we get to talk about is one of my favorite times of year, and that's CES. And CES is that time of year where I basically call it technological... I don't know if I can say this on the radio, so I'm just going to say technological gasming all over the place because of the new technology that comes out.
Now, Jordan, for those that don't know, for our viewers that may not be in the know as much as we are, what does CES stand for?
You know what's funny? I don't even know. I just know that this is the time of year that CES is representative of. It's electronic something. Either it's computer electronic something. Computer electronics, something that does work too, but I don't remember what it flippin' stands for. Dang it, now I don't remember.
Well,
whatever.
It's basically a big gathering of many of the world's best and brightest tech companies, revealing what they've got coming for the 2018-2019 season.
Now you're making me want to look this up because I really should know what CES stands for.
Computer and electronic systems? I don't know. What does it actually stand for?
How is this the most difficult thing to find on Twitter?
Oh, no, that's not it. Shoot, what is it?
There we go. It's Consumer Electronics Show.
Oh,
that was too easy.
Yeah, okay.
That was too easy to understand. I was actually just seeing if anybody in the audience was knowing ahead of time. So good on you for you 3 people that answered the question correctly. But anyway, talking about CES, one of the things that's going to be kind of cool is just what comes out of CES. And it could be anything from Microsoft and Amazon saying, look at these cool new things that we're about to put out. HTC is talking about a new Vive system that is going to be an evolution to what they previously had. Microsoft had unveiled one of their new VR headsets that's going to be its soul, which basically means that it's not going to go and play off of a computer. It can play independently on its own self, which is going to be a fundamentally cool thing to see. The other things that I saw in here were something like Google is here for the first time. They've never been to this show before. So this is an amazing and historic year, but I think it's horrible that the way they started out CES because it literally rained on their parade as they had a booth set up on the outside of the convention center in Vegas, and it rained on that day. And of course, it was an outdoor convention or an outdoor display. So go figure, they had to basically tarp everything and cancel their first day. So yeah, not really the start that they wanted to go with.
Yeah, and that really stinks because they put a lot of money, a lot of love into what they do. Google being, of course, so massive that it honestly probably didn't hurt their wallets as much as it would other companies, but still nothing that they really want to happen.
Did you see all that they threw into CES this year, though? Like, when they came in, they're like, we're going to come in with a lot of... to start with, they have this gigantic gumball machine that just mentions something about Google Assistant, so people can come in and grab their stuff there. There's a giant sign in there that says Google Assistant. I mean, they're really pushing Google Assistant on this round. That's what mainly that they're there for. You'll see other things that they'll talk about, and it's really funny to me because Google has a lot of new tech, whether it's headphones or speakers or other integrated pieces of technology. They're just like, yo guys, we have Google Assistant now. It's like, you guys might think that, Alexa is kind of cool, but who gives a darn? Because it's now going to give over to Google Assistant because Google wants to be the biggest britches of the, I guess I could say artificial intelligence, but rather I'll just use the term assistant for Alexa versus Google Assistant.
I can summarize Google's presence at CES 2018 as, think around the holiday time when, you're sitting there with your family and your uncle, knocks on the door. He's carrying like 7 or 8 huge boxes, huge presents for all the kids. And then because of the rain, sleet, and snow, he slips and falls and everything falls on him and everything. That's basically what happened to Google here. They had they set up all this stuff, and they're like, "Hey guys, we're here, happy CES!" And in front of the estimated 184,000 in attendance, like you said, they literally got rained on their parade.
Yeah, I feel bad, but don't take that like out of context and say, oh, they're done for here.
No,
they
no,
got
no.
they got a day pull out of it. This is like almost a week long event, and
Yeah, they got back up on their feet.
Again, as of this recording, they're back up the next day. There's nothing that's too mind-boggling. We will, like we said before with Overwatch League, we'll give you some more updates here on the next week about some more particular CES stuff. One more thing that I can highlight from CES though is this Razer phone that's also a gaming phone, which is like what? Okay, so Dylan, I don't know if you understand how this works or not, and if you didn't know, but there's a phone that it's literally called the Razer phone. Are you familiar with the Razer phone at all?
I'm familiar with Razer, the company. I don't think I've actually seen much about this Razer phone, though.
So let me put it like this. Imagine having a 120 hertz display phone that goes up to 1440p.
Whew, that's some impressive technology.
Yeah, Razer's kind of crazy with how they designed this. This phone is sleek. It's very well made, and it's like that. Like I said before, it's basically a gaming phone, but some people might just want it because it's really fancy technology or whatever the case. But there's a thing that they brought into CES that's called Project Linda. And what it basically is doing is it allows you to, and this is weird because it almost feels like the Nintendo Switch brain whenever I think of this. It's you dock the phone into the laptop, and then the phone has the core computing that happens for your phone to then play on a laptop to then play a video game. I know, that's Dylan's brain right now.
The future of gaming, and we have a lot more of it to see here in the next week.
I'm just kind of like crazed to think about that. Like we have the Nintendo Switch, and then the same year, Razer makes a phone that has the same amount of power that I can plug in to a laptop or rather insert, not plug in, rather insert it into a laptop, and then boom, I'm able to play the same structure as it before. Fun fact, you can still use the phone while you are using it as on the laptop as well. Because you can use the phone, it showed example like playing League of Legends, and it showed that your phone could show the user interface for the items you've already purchased, and you can still play the game on there. So like the phone's operable, and it's like almost a second, it's a touchpad basically is what it's going to serve as. So the phone can function as several different things. It could of course be helpful to the game. It could just be a miscellaneous piece or component to a touchpad. It could be an external piece like I showed or said earlier about League of Legends and other little games that are going to have their own integration into it. But man, that's the part about it I'm going to be a little bit excited about. But like, if I'm excited about the Razer phone, there's so much more that happens during CES. Like, you guys don't understand. I always try to talk about CES every single year, and CES is like, yo, guys, this is where we bring the big dog technology, and you'll see a lot of new integrated technology that comes up to it. And Google being here for the first year, I'm just really curious to see what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, and we still have some time to tell, whether it's a big year for them here or if they'll fall flat. We don't know. We'll have to wait till next week. But so far, very promising. As for my thoughts on the Razer phone, it'll be very interesting because while there's been spectacular technology like this before, or not quite like this, but kind of on this level announced at these shows, it really does depend on how it moves forward. I've been burned so many times at E3, CES, sometimes at different conventions where something big, brand new, great is announced, and then it just doesn't get followed through on the way that I would hope. So I'm remaining cautiously optimistic about the Razer phone and about everything else that we see at CES. And hopefully by this time next year, we'll be able to see some of these things implemented into our everyday lives.
Yeah, when it comes to Razer, I always kind of wait on the what I call the Linus Tech Tip trigger. And what I mean by that is most of the time a Razer product gets reviewed some way, shape, or form by Linus Tech Tips. And they're very in-depth with a lot of stuff that they'll cover, so I'll wait for them to throw a review out and say, yeah, I think this is legit. Like, you could run a game at this. And so that's the part I'm going to look for here. But we got time, and I would like to get to this. Guys, I asked you a question at the beginning of the show, and that question was plain and simple. It was to think about video game journalism integrity and how you kind of spot out the scammers and really just, determine who you're going to listen to for good games and for bad games, and which games to buy, which games to not buy, which games to look up on YouTube, which games to make fun of, which games like mine I'm making right now, which is really, really bad, or games like anybody, I guess I could say, Nintendo makes that are really, really good. And one of the things that we sat down, Dylan and I, and we just kind of wanted to go through this and just understand a little bit about video game journalism integrity. And first of all, we're in this field too. Like, to put this down on the table, myself and Dylan are in this field too. We talk about video games, we talk about technology, and we're giving our input and our thoughts upon games that we've played, games that we've heard about, games that we've seen reviews about, games that we are aware of, new news that's coming out. We are trying to give you guys our best input. And one of our main things is that we try to give you our honest feedback. This is, for me and Dylan, this is me and him having a conversation about the video game and saying our honest opinion, saying, do you like, Left 4 Dead 2? And I'll be like, yeah, it's a pretty good game. It maybe not be my personal style, but the game is outstanding. It's definitely deserved its credibility over the years, but it was just never my cup of tea. Whereas Dylan could be like, that's my favorite game, 2018. And I'd be like, this game came out like years ago, right? And he'd be like, I don't care, 2018, best game of the year.
Some people still make that argument for Team Fortress 2 and CS:GO. So that's not too out of the way. But of course, in the realm of video game journalism, we are journalists, but we're just two of many of millions of people that have opinions, thoughts, and criticisms and critiques of this industry that we dearly love.
Yeah, the internet has given us the ability to just really go out and get to have our own freedom of opinion about other things, whether it be from simplistic things like saying that Sonic 06 was a good game, by the way, your opinion is wrong, and to have other constructs and thoughts about things that you've experienced or played, and then to read about what other people talk about too. And the thing is, though, is that because of this mass amount of information, let's just say you have $60 in your hand right now and you want to try to go get the latest AAA title, but you're stuck between like 5 or 6 different titles and you want to personally get the best game out of those select titles. You don't care what you choose. You're a fan of all 4 franchises that you have. But the thing is, though, is how do you choose that particular one? Well, that's where reviewers come in. That's where people that do podcasts and other things along the mix come in. But the real question is, how do you determine how that person is the person you're going to listen to and say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to get title C because I think that out of these games, that shows to be the best answer for me.
And there are many, many different places where you can hear opinions. Let's go over a few of the bigger ones, though. Jordan and I, we've mentioned a few of these companies as places that some of them are actually news sites as well, but places like Polygon, IGN, Machinima, GameSpot, Kotaku, and just to name a few. These are some of the reviewer sites that people have traditionally gone to for their, Resident Evil 7 just came out. Man, what does Machinima or what does IGN think of this? What did they rate it? They're kind of your original or traditional go-to video game reviewers, especially IGN, who I myself went to almost every other day when I was in middle school and early high school, just because they were kind of my first news source into the gaming industry. So these are some of the bigger companies, but are they necessarily the most trustworthy? Jordan?
The main thing you got to look behind it is, who are you talking to behind that screen? Who's the guy that's writing the article about it? Who's the guy that's talking about it? I mean, you could go into different Twitch streams and TV shows. I guess I could call them Twitch shows that will talk constantly about some particular video game or some particular video game franchise. If you've never seen it before, watch the video by Video Game Donkey about video game critics. One of the main things that he touches on that I really loved and was a great point was I could go to IGN and they could give me a review about, I'll just use the title, Super Mario Odyssey. But here's the real question though. Is the title for Super Mario Odyssey, who is that written by? What has he written about before? And is he just there because Nintendo struck a deal with IGN to say, write us a really good review, promote our sales to it, and then we'll be able to pay you X amount of dollars. But if you say a bad review, we pull the contract and you don't get paid out of it. That's the things that you got to look out for. And that's one of the cons of going to bigger businesses nowadays. A lot of people try to stick with some of their traditional YouTubers or, you know, other people, even in Kotaku, which is still not that large, and you'll know for sure who wrote it and their short bio about what they've written about before. But go to IGN, go to Machinima, mainly IGN, and Polygon do this, where you'll go and you'll see their artists and they'll say, you know, or maybe they might even put their artist in the title either. And that's the thing that you kind of go and it's like, okay, IGN says this, but like, who really said it? Like, if someone else wrote it, they might have not given it a 5 out of 10 scale, which that's the other part we'll talk about here in a second. But like, to get across the first point though, is you got to know who's writing it to understand the true review behind it. Like, Dylan and I have said this before. If I say I actually enjoyed The Division, and I'm telling you that if you wanted to get it, I personally enjoyed that experience and am giving you my recommendation to say you should try it as well. But are you going to enjoy it the same way that I did? Or is it going to be like IGN and other companies that gave it like a 70-something% on their scores? No, not necessarily. So that's the thing that you got to look for in these circumstances. See if you can get a second opinion about it. Like, go out, listen to our podcasts like ours. Go out and listen to someone else give their 2 cents about the video game that you're thinking about, and just understand a little bit about the game so that when you're there with that $60 and you have 4 different titles that you want to choose from, you can narrow it down to the one that you want based off of what you've heard and read about from other credible sources.
And it's also important to remember, whoever writes these reviews, you have to know what they've done before, what their specialty is. I'll give you a great example. Jordan here. I would not look at Jordan and say, all right, Jordan, give me a review on this particular survival horror game or this particular Forza title, like things that Jordan himself has not had a lot of experience with, that he has not. He's not exactly the most apt to judge some of these titles because he's not really written about or has a long history with these things. Is that safe to assume, Jordan? With
I don't know.
Racing
I kind of like racing titles, to be honest with you. I could write a pretty mean review about it. I'll say this. I could maybe do survival horror. I knew a lot about survival horror back in the last few years, but not as so much this year particularly. I'd use my genre of just like an RPG or something. Like, I don't have the personal time to review the latest Final Fantasy. Like, I couldn't do it personally. I wouldn't be a fan of it. I love their art style, and it's clearly deserved its amount of years that it's been around. But man, I don't think I could get around to a Final Fantasy game.
And like in my case, it would be with a lot of particular Nintendo titles, because while I do love Nintendo, I played a lot of Nintendo titles growing up. I do not own a Switch. I would not say that my review on the limited exposure I've had to games on the Switch, like I've played Super Mario Odyssey a little bit, I've played Breath of the Wild a little bit, I gave ARMS a try once or twice, and I've played Mario Kart a handful of times on the Switch as well. I am not a person with that limited experience that you should trust entirely with a review of any of the Nintendo games on the Switch. That would be also like saying Jordan here should review a bunch of games on the PS4 that he, maybe tried once or twice, but hasn't really gotten the full sit-down play, consciously review with a fresh frame of reference or perspective. That is how you... you can definitely tell when bigger reviewers or smaller reviewers are more or less trying to pull the wool over your eyes. And more on that in a minute. But let's kind of get to that out of 5 out of 10 scale factor that you alluded to earlier, Jordan.
I think that one of the things, and I put this in here because how many people just write a, base out of 10, what's your thoughts on this video game? And then a majority of unless it's just a truly bad game, get anywhere from a 7 to a 10. And the 10 out of 10 is like, oh, I should probably get that. But then that tweaks down to like a 9 or something. I don't know why, but I've just really not been a fan of seeing a lot of these out of 5 or out of 10 scale factors, because you go to, I'll just use this again. I go to any company that's writing reviews about these. I can go to GameSpot. I'll go to Polygon, and I'll go to I won't go to Machinima because I don't care about them. I'll go to IGN, and I'll throw in to see what they say about it, and they'll be like, oh, it's a 7.5 out of 10. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. I'm going to go to GameSpot, 7.5 out of 10. I'm going to go to Kotaku. Oh, they're going to give it a 9 out of 10. I just am not a fan of using this out of 10 scale. I wish that there was a better way that we implemented this in this reporting industry. And I don't know what exactly that is particularly, but I really would like to see a change or a reform into that piece.
Well, I personally, I do use a kind of abbreviated version, or a kind of a more expanded version of the out of 5 or out of 10 scale. Whenever I personally review or judge anything, I do it on a scale of -10 to +10, where -10 is so horrible, so bad, so over the top, but you get a lot of enjoyment out of it because of how silly, stupid, bad, or over the top it is. And then a 10 being, your traditional great game with elements of this. But I think we should definitely not look at the number given, like a 7.5, 8, 9. I believe that you should look more at the individual comments and the reason as to why these games got the ratings they did. Because anyone can say, oh yeah, I thought Cuphead, I give it a 9 out of 10. Okay, why do you give it a 9 out of 10? It's a really good game. Like, that's not enough.
Elaborate, tell us more.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you should be focusing on more than just the simple, I give it a 10 out of 10. It's a great game. No, you should not focus on that number. That number is misleading a lot of the time. What you should really look at is what the game is. What the game is, how good it does the things that it wants to do, and why you should buy it. Don't give it a just general 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. Tell us why you gave it that. Tell us why we should buy it or why we shouldn't. That is more important than the actual numerical value associated with the review.
Ideally, just keep this in mind. IGN has over 37 reviewers for their company. GameSpot's got 22 and Kotaku's got 10. A lot of people, a lot of different constructs, a lot of different opinions can come into the mix. My suggestion to you is just find different sources that you can work off of here. But we're running a little short here and close to on our time, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. As always, this has been a pleasure to be here. And of course, just to reiterate, once again, we are live on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. over here on WRHC and WRHC 106.7 and 93.5. In addition to that, we are now streaming our show live over on Thursday nights at 9 p.m., same exact time as you'll see us over on the radio, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, over on twitch.tv/Level Up Weekly. And that same URL, you can catch Dylan this coming Saturday, streaming a miscellaneous slew of different games, anything from Overwatch to Cuphead to wallpaper engine, and whatever he wants to stream from then. We'll take turns over the course. Maybe we'll have some friends and some guests play on once in a while, have some fun tournaments, and once in a while just have some good casual fun. And if you missed this episode, note that it's always on Podbean, and you'll see it the next Tuesday as a VOD over on twitch.tv/Level Weekly, like I said before. And if you guys ever want to talk to us, twitter.com/Level Up Weekly. Okay, that's enough plugging for now. Dylan, anything else you want to add to before we leave?
We're never done plugging, of course. Dylan the Dude here. You can join me Saturday when I play many different games, as Jordan said. But also don't forget to follow us or support us on Patreon. We really love our people over there, including Gazelle and Jonathan, the two people who support us over there currently. We thank you very much for your support. And if you'd like to support us and get some special bonuses as well, go to patreon.com/levelupweekly.
All right, guys, that's it for us here on Level Up Weekly. Tune in next week for your next level experience.